the Untouched Soul Reaper. This build I had a lot of fun playing, and it was actually really cool with the interesting mechanics and how this build works. And my goal was just to clear Chayulas much quicker, since those are quite nice to make money, and obviously you can find my video somewhere else. And yeah, I want to see if we could do Pinnacles as well, and it does kill Pinnacles really quickly. And I have tried an Uber, and so far the only Uber I've killed or attempted to kill is the Eater of Worlds, which I did kill. And I just wanted to test out the viability of the Untouched Soul amulet and see how crazy it was, and for this build it does work. So for the ratings, I do want to say that the clear speed is a 4 out of 5. It kills everything, especially with our Ascendancy. It kills all the mobs with massive profane explosions. I've been using this to farm breach, and it kills breaches quite fast. And I've tried this with wisps as well, up to 5,000 wisps, and it actually does it pretty well. And I do think this build does have the potential, especially if I chuck in more divines at it, it will definitely be better. And for the single target, as I said, the Pinnacles do die. They do take a while though, and you are obviously standing in areas which you may die. So I do want to rate it a 3 out of 5. Obviously with poison, it takes a while to ramp up the damage. And with more investment, I'm definitely going to try out the Ubers. Like I said, I've only killed the Eater of Worlds, but that is the only Uber I actually did attempt to, and I have a feeling it could probably kill Cirrus, as that's less damage over times. And speaking of damage over time, I want to talk about our defense, and I want to give it a 3 out of 5, since we are stacking a lot of armor and we are also using petrified blood. That means that we have a lot of defenses in our build to just tank lots of hits. The reason it's a 3 out of 5, obviously with dissolution of the flesh builds, damage over times do kill us very quickly. And to help us with damage over times, obviously we have a lot of armor and physical mitigation, which does help against those things. And we have immunity to bleed and corrupted blood somewhere else in the build. And for our budget, obviously this build uses a Mageblood. And Magebloods are very easy to get this league, and I highly recommend you watch my breach video, as you can farm for Mageblood in pretty much 2 hours of constant farming. Other than Mageblood, I spent 50 divines. Yep, only 50 divines. And I'm going to spend another 25 divines, so I'm going to say 75 divines, excluding the Mageblood, for this build. Now for the mechanics. The mechanics is also a very interesting part, as I said in the introduction. So what we're doing here is we actually be using the unique Untouched Soul to stack as much life as possible through its stat of gain 40 life per empty red per socket on any equipped item. So what this means is that with any item that we are using, if we have an empty red socket, we gain 40 life. So with this build, we are using as little sockets as we can to just gain a ton of flat life. So as you can also see that my weapon and my helmet are the only ones that have actually stats on them, as well as my rings. And we do get a ton of life from that. And the Burden of Shadows, our unique staff, it also has a stat saying spells deal added chaos damage equal to 15 to 20% of your maximum life, meaning we get a ton of chaos damage with the more life we have. So it's just a great synergy with stacking life. Obviously, we're going to be using a lot of poison damage because, as the wiki says, the base damage per second of poison equals 30% of combined physical and chaos damage. Since we're getting a lot of chaos damage from our staff, we do need a place to get physical damage. And to get that, we are actually using the Warlock Wildwood Ascendancy, as it has a node called Cannibalized Faith, which states spells you cast yourself gain 75% of life cost as physical damage. That's why we use a Reap. It's literally the best skill to stack this passive. Per blood charge is 20% more life cost. So when I'm killing stuff, say I reach a boss and I have loads of blood charges, my skill actually costs around 1000 life, meaning that I get 750 additional physical damage from my Ascendancy alone. Obviously, since we're stacking a lot of life, we are using Blunderbore because we get those 2 lesser shrines. They give us more life and more damage. We will also be using Dissolution of the Flesh, obviously, because it is just so much better to use it. And if we actually look at the staff says lose 500 life. For some reason, this doesn't really apply to the Dissolution of the Flesh reservation, as a lose life doesn't really count as like losing damage or taking damage in a way, just losing life. which is the same as, you know, life tap. We are also going to be ailment immune, so that's really good. And now for our one and only aura, we are using Petrified Blood. We actually just take 40% less damage of hits for free. Also for Petrified Blood, we are going to be using Essence of the Worm Ring to get rid of all the reservation for our aura. Now for our tree, I'm going to link it down below in the description. But I'm just going to talk about the important parts, which is, as you can see, if most of you guys might have an issue where your life just keeps going down, and if I just cast this, I'll actually won't be able to cast and I'll be stuck like this. So we just have this keystone called Eternal Youth, which means that our energy shield recharge instead applies to life. So once we grab it, give it a little walk, boom. So now we can just spam our ability. And then we also have Blood Magic. It's a free 10% more life, because with the Wildwood Ascendancy, we'll be having Ascendancy, which is the same thing. So just 10% free life for one node is amazing. Also, all the other nodes, we're going to be taking a lot of life nodes, a lot of strength nodes, and a lot of chaos nodes as well. Split personality, you'll want 2 of these. These are really easy to get more strength and more life. High budget, I'll probably think of a way to get rid of these, as we probably won't need these in the future. I'll update this build obviously in my Discord server. I won't probably make a YouTube video for the rest of this league, as this is just an end of league project. But yeah, just a lot of life nodes, and then I'll talk about the clusters in a bit. But for our Ascendancy, we're taking Occultist. We want to grab Void Beacon for the first thing, as it says nearby enemies have minus 20% to chaos resistance, which is very good. And then we go down here and grab every second inflict withered on nearby enemies for 15 seconds, and then you just get more chaos resistance and chaos damage. We then want to take Profane Bloom. This is our map clearing monster. And then Unholy Authority. Your hexes can affect hexproof enemies, and you can apply an additional curse. For leveling, we can probably use Poison Concoction, or since this league, we can use a Twink leveling setup like Hollow Palm, which is actually not that bad. It's very easy to use, and I highly recommend it. For our Bandit choice, we are killing all. And I also want to say, if you want to switch this build early, I recommend using a Malevolence instead of Petrified Blood until you can afford that which is taken that has you gain adrenaline on low life. Now for our gear, I want to show you guys. Obviously, the things we want is the Burden of Shadows. We ideally want a 20% of your maximum life Burden of Shadows, which means more damage. For our Untouched Soul, we want to allocate Discipline and Training for more increased life. And the implicit can be either Strength and Dexterity, or if you can, you apply an additional curse. For our rings, we want an Essence Worm, and we also want a ring with Despair on hit. That's very important. For the next of our res, we want attributes like Strength and Dex. Ideally, you only need Dex, a high Dex stat on one item, but we want Strength, and as much Strength as we can, followed with any resistances that we grab. And if you have enough resistances, then Chaos Resistance is also very good. Obviously, I'm using a Mageblood, so I'm going to quickly talk about the Flasks. With the Flasks, you want to grab, obviously, a Quicksilver with increased armor. Obviously, I didn't roll the effect. You also want to get a flask with additional elemental resistances, which is a Granite Flask, since we are armor-based. We want a Silver Flask with increased cast speed. And we also want a Basalt Flask with Avoid Being Shocked. And you want to make sure it's 52% with at least as close to 100% Avoid Being Shocked, since we'll be using this for our Storm Shroud. For our gems, obviously we won't be using that many gems. The first gem is Petrified Blood. With Flame Dash, we want Punishment as our curse aura. We want Cast when damage taken and Immortal Call. And for our 6th link, we want Reap with Awakened Void Manipulation, Awakened Deadly Ailments, Spell Echo, Spell Cascade, and hopefully Awakened Unbound Ailment support. Now for the jewels, we'll be using a Unnatural Instinct, 2 Split Personalities, a Dissolution of the Flesh, ideally a very high rolled Dissolution of the Flesh for more life. The Adorned, the higher the better. At the moment mine's 134%. a Storm Shroud, and for our clusters, it'll be a lot of Septic Spells. That is our main stat, with 2 Wasting Afflictions. So we want 2 cluster jewels with Septic Spells and Wasting Afflictions, and then the rest is Septic Spells and either Student of Decay or the very expensive Flow of Life. For our normal magic jewels, we want Life and Poison Chance Duration and Poison Hit Chance. That is 1 stat. I recommend you getting reduced bleed duration on your magic jewels. These are very important to avoid that bleed, and 1 with corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. Now I want to also talk about how much poison duration. So I recommend that you import your POB and go to calculations. In calculations it will say poison duration and it will show how much. You want enough poison duration to be around 4 seconds. And if you have 4 seconds, say you have 4.76, you can take some of those jewels that have poison duration for chaos damage over time, so we can do more damage. And maps to avoid is any map that has any burning ground or chaos ground. Those will kill us. Also avoid reflect physical. We are doing physical damage. You can run reflect elemental since we don't have elemental damage, thanks to avoid manipulation. Since we are using adrenaline, I just want to quickly show you guys how it works. As you can see, I have this flask, and you might be wondering why this kind of flask is here. It actually allows us to double dip with our adrenaline right here. And so as you can see, we're always on low life using petrified blood, which is pretty much half, 50%. And even if we use spells, we won't get adrenaline. So what we can do when we enter a map, obviously we get adrenaline if our life is going down, but if you quickly cast, as soon as pressing it, you'll gain it, and then it will actually recover life to max. And the more you cast, you'll actually gain it again. So we got 2. It double dips pretty much, so we get 2 stages of adrenaline with 1 press. So again, I'll attack, gain my adrenaline, I'm running around killing things, and then I shall gain it again, which is pretty good. So once you reach a boss or something, you can just press it, cast your curse, and then gain your adrenaline. And that's pretty much how it works. So this is a build that I was very excited, and in my Discord server, I am really pushing this Discord server as a lot of people have a lot of questions. A lot of newer players are welcome to join the Discord server. I am pushing this a lot as I've seen a lot of new players ask for help but don't know where. I don't mind welcoming you guys and hopefully grow a better community. And yeah, comment, subscribe, let me know if you want to build this. Obviously this POB is just the basic general POB. This build can get scaled to the absolute maximum with more investment. And if you have scaled this to the max, please let me know with a link to the PO Ninja, as I've seen this build on POE Ninja and wanted to give it a try. Let me know if you want to see any of these videos which utilizes one unique item that can be used in a build, or try to be used in a build, to see how far it goes. And I'm going to do more updates of this build onto the Discord. If you want to see more how this goes, just join the Discord, yeah. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate it. Have a good one.